Hello people, jambo sana. Welcome to Omwami Political Consultants, where political analysis is always 90% correct according to you in my inboxes. Today I'm going to be reacting to a few of the inboxes I've been receiving from our people in diaspora and those Kenyans living around the country. They have been asking me to interpret a few of the events that just occurred in the past few days, and I'm going to be doing that. Please, before you go far, subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up and share if you can, because this is where politics lives. If you don't get it here, you will never get it. Thank you. I'll be back. Now, guys, it has not even been 2 months. It's been less than 40 days. I think we're counting around 35 days into the Ruto presidency. And the wailing is just extraordinary. The opposition is squealing too much. I mean, Ruto has not even created his cabinet yet. He does not have principal secretaries yet. The governmental machinery is not yet effective. But people are asking for results because ahadi ni deni. We promised in the Kenya Kwanza campaigns that within 100 days, a few of those agendas that we promised were supposed to be done within 100 days. But I want to give you I want to educate you a little bit that campaigns and governance are two different things. You campaign in poetry and you govern by expertise. There's reality and there's what is ideal. I'll go straight to my point. What is it that Raila is looking for? What do these political events, especially his visit to the Bunge la Mwananchi at Jivanji, what could have provoked that? And what could be the motive that Raila is now calling for street marches because of the high costs of living? First of all, before we go far, I want to make you understand that government can be made in two ways as far as the winning candidate and the opposition candidate are concerned. There can only be two ways that the winning candidate can work with the opposition. That is, for example, Kenya Kwanza going to work with Azimio. There can only be two types of governments there. Number one is the coalition government. Coalition government comes about in two circumstances. Number one, if the policies of those two parties rhyme, they have to work together because they're working on the same direction. There's no need to oppose each other. Number two is when we have a constitutional crisis. This is when we have a president-elect having no numbers in parliament to push his agenda. So basically that president will not be able to pass any sorts of laws, any sorts of bills, any sorts of policies through the parliament. So he needs the aid of the opposition leader who is going to give him the numbers in parliament. So with that we can have a coalition government like what we had in 2007. Another instance or circumstance for us to have the two parties working together is through a government of national unity. A government of national unity comes about when we have a political crisis. And a political crisis is created by dissatisfaction among the people who feel shortchanged within a government, or they don't feel being part of the government. Now, from my observation, Raila has failed to have the numbers in parliament, so he cannot initiate for a coalition government. That's number one. Number two, he failed to be the president. He lost the elections. So he's only left with one option, to be part of this government, and that is through creating a government of national unity. So he has to provoke or create a political crisis in the country so that it is forced that he is welcomed to the table. Now, I hope up to there we are together. How does he plan to create a political crisis? This is where the Bunge la Mwananchi comes in. This is where the protest on high cost of living around the country comes in. He has chosen now to use another vehicle, which is high cost of living, to create a crisis for him to be in government in one way or another. You know, in this country, the Constitution 2010, Chapter 4, Article 37 allows picketing, petitioning, right to assembly, right to demonstrations, and those are fundamental freedoms provided for in the 2010 Constitution. And Raila seems to understand that he can still use these tricks to find his way into provoking crisis. Then they will have to form a government of national unity. Creating this unity through a protest on high cost of living will create a window for a government of national unity. We saw his visit to the Bunge la Mwananchi, where he was, in fact, he made another mistake according to my observation, where he was flanked by Honorable Jalango Odwor. He was also flanked by Honorable Babu Owino, and he was also flanked by the president of the Bunge la Mwananchi at Jivanji, Gaucho himself, the popular guy who has been making very good remarks, a very diligent man, Gaucho, who actually invited this delegation to the Bunge la Mwananchi at Jivanji, where Raila just sat and listened to the opinions of the people. Now, before I go far, I want to rectify this. Those names I just mentioned, from Jalango to Babu Owino to Bunge la Mwananchi President Mr. Gaucho, you can see in that lineup there is no other tribe apart from Luo. And that is another mistake Raila just made as he went for that meeting. You cannot provoke a conversation around a revolution out of high costs of living and you only include your tribesmen on the front line giving a press conference and you expect Kenyans to take you seriously. Number two, even during the launch of the book a few days ago, Raila attended and even spoke about the foreign powers not wanting him to be president of the Republic of Kenya. It was again another mistake. He went to flank, or rather he went into a launch of a book written by a Luo again. If you want to provoke a conversation around national unity, there is no way you can be a Luo and again you're flanked by fellow Luos. I expected to see names like Simba Arati from Kisii behind him, flanking him. I expected to see Edwin Sifuna flanking him there. I expected to see one individual from the coast flanking him there. I expected to see one person from Wajir flanking him there. I expected to see one individual from the Maasai, even Olekina could have played a very instrumental role flanking Raila Odinga on such matters of trying to bring about a conversation on protests of high cost of living. But if the move he took of going with only Luos, there is no way we can say that that can provoke a conversation around changing the livelihoods of the people, or rather bringing about street protests because of high cost of living. That is another mistake that I saw Baba make. Now, back to our topic. Raila is trying to use this conversation to bring about a political crisis. But in my view also, I am seeing that Ruto is also applying tricks to distract the opposition and give them something to be busy about. And I saw the GMO conversation and I actually laughed about it because in the past we had when Ruto was a Minister of Agriculture, he was on the forefront fighting GMOs. But right now, how comes he's acting like he's in support of GMOs? In my own observation, Ruto is pretending to support the GMOs so that the opposition can have something to discuss. And at the same time, this is serving as a bait to bring out and flush out the opposition so that we can see how are they structured? Are they still united? And truly speaking, when the GMO conversation was thrown for a discussion, we saw Kalonzo run to bring about a press conference. And this press conference, the same time he was releasing his press conference, Raila was again seen at the Bunge la Mwananchi releasing another press conference over the same issues. And again, Jimmy Wanjigi was seen again talking about the high cost of living and how this government is not working as it promised. Now you see this method of gathering and scattering, then observing who the leader is. You strike the leader of the sheep, the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. So that means the structure of the opposition has already been seen through the GMO discussion, and we have established that the opposition is not organized, the opposition is weak because it is scattered, they have no unity. Everyone wants to be the opposition leader, and this is going to make a very easy way by scattering them, an easy way to 2027. Again, they will fail. So again, I will get back to my issue of the Raila advisory team is misadvising him, because this is the time that he was actually supposed to be silent, like the way you have seen Uhuru is silent. In fact, Uhuru is acting more of an opposition leader than Raila as we speak. So the verdict behind all these activities is that, number one, Ruto has found out that the opposition is divided through the GMO conversation, which I'm sure he will not pass. Number two, Raila is trying to provoke a political crisis for him to form a government of national unity with Ruto. And that is going to be achieved through the protests, which I'm very sure will not take off because Ruto himself is aware. And all possible measures are going to be taken that this idea of protests will not yield into anything that will shake this government. And that is going to be through communication and countering any misinformation to the grassroots. We're not going to have national protests with this government because the Ruto government has tentacles spread out to every part of the country, mpaka mashinani. There are county commissioners who Rigathi Gachagua just referred to the other day. So a single move of a finger, they are aware of what is being planned. And it's not going to be a violent kind of countering. In fact, we might not even need the police to counter this. We will just need to give our people civic education and telling them what is right so that they can distinguish between propaganda, incitement, and facts. And that's what this government is all about. See you next time. This is yours, Omwami. Until we meet again. Thank you.